There's already award buzz for Rosamund Pike. She plays a war correspondent whose life work takes a toll. I sat down with the Oscar-nominated actress who stars in A Private War.
Foreign Correspondent of the Year, Marie Colvin.
I was working with a documentary maker doing his first narrative feature. I knew that I had to deliver him a Marie that he would feel was as close to his experience of working in docs as possible. I don't know, I was excited by that challenge. I thought, this is a director who's probably going to turn the camera on me when I'm not expecting it, and he's going to film me when we're travelling in cars, and and it was what happened. The light would be right. He'd say, "Come on," it would be a scene that wasn't prepared. Sometimes, in the scenes that we really go inside her mind, often that was just a line in the script, like Marie writes up her story. Yeah. And Matt would say, "I've got an idea for this. Let's just, you, me, and Bob Richardson, our DP, will go into a hotel room. Let's just play around. You've got 15 minutes on the tape. Just go into what we've seen today. Explore." And that's, if I had not studied Marie so closely and got inside her body and by talking to her friends tried to find a way into her mind, that prospect would have been so daunting. Yeah. But by the time we came to it, I felt it's a very odd feeling to feel that you know intimately somebody you will never meet.
Where did you get that eye patch?
Treasure Island.
There's a lot that goes into that. You did everything, teeth, the whole thing.
Yes, there are prosthetic elements to do with aging. There is the eye patch after she loses her eye, and how that affects the good eye, and she has very, very specific hand relationship between her hands and her face. I think probably through the loss of that eye, there's a vulnerability that is, she's such a tough woman, but there's tremendous vulnerability, little tells in her body language, I think. And there's smoking. There was the way she walked. She had a completely different set of mannerisms from me. The way she'd sit in a chair. I mean, everything. But it was so exciting to do that.
Basically, take a smoking lesson because she was so good at it.
She loved it. I mean, she was the kind of woman who you just knew that every conversation, every coffee was better with a cigarette. And that was the best advice, actually. One of my best friends actually said, "You've just got to understand, literally everything you do, you've got to think this would be better with a cigarette." And that was great.
When you learned about what she wrote about, you could tell a story. You could tell not just her story, but the whole thing.
I'm very interested in what the cost of very high-octane, dangerous career choices are on people's personal lives. I find that a very interesting realm of discovery.
I hate being in a war zone. I also feel compelled to see it for myself.
Because you're addicted to it.
What are the costs of being, say, a sportsman at the top of your game? What are the costs of going to the places on earth that most people are trying to flee from? I knew that from watching Matt's documentaries, he has an amazing way of letting you into a story that you might not know that much about and making you care, which is exactly what Marie Colvin did. She was the one reporter who could penetrate people's bubbles and make you, as you read the papers with your breakfast, actually make you stop and take it in, not just sort of superficially glide over it. She would puncture you with her words, and I thought, well, if Matt has that capability with his documentaries, and if he can do that with this narrative film, it could be quite exciting.
If you use the sat phone, those drones will know where we are.
We don't have time!
No one in their right mind would do what you do.
What part of the character or her did you feel yourself that you could relate with? Was there any at all? I mean,
well,
she's so different.
When I read the first Vanity Fair article that Marie Brenner wrote, which is terribly captivating because, you see the myriad shades of this woman, incredibly courageous war reporter, but also, someone who liked some glamour, who was a great party animal, who was a great friend. And there was this detail about her marriages. In some ways people felt that the men in her life made her suffer more than any war ever did. And she married twice and then lived with the first husband again. But there was this detail about her keeping her wedding presents. She never got to unwrapping her wedding presents. They were still wrapped up in the cupboard under her stairs. And for some reason, I thought, I get that person. That's what happens when you're always on the move and you're on the road and there's a reality to your life on the road that feels real. And somehow there's something sort of nebulous about the domesticity of those presents. And what happens if you unwrap the blender or the coffee maker or the toaster? Does that mean you're suddenly inhabiting a different part of your life that you're not quite ready to embrace? So that was a detail, an odd detail that really caught me.
I had a great time with you last night, and I would like to see you again.
A Private War also stars Jamie Dornan. Mike Wilbur, NBC News.